Hi everyone, it's a great pleasure to have a senior architect like Gayathri Shetty here with us today for a conversation around can architects work from home. Just to give a little bit of introduction, Gayathri is a founding partner of one of the most prominent award-winning architectural firms in South India, Gayathri and Namith Associates. It was founded way back in 1992. She has over 3 decades worth of experience in architecture. And as I said, they have bagged multiple prestigious awards for some of their projects, and they've also been shortlisted for the Aga Khan Award and also the World Architectural Festival in 2012 for the hotel category. Thank you so much for joining with us today. It's a great pleasure to have you with us. So I hope the situation, whatever we are facing, improves very soon. To dive right in, I would want to know how are you currently dealing with the situation at your firm?
Hi, Altaf. Thank you for having me. I must say that, in these times, you really have to reinvent yourself because, we are always normally so busy. We're always on our feet, whether it's at the studio or at site. And there's always 101 things to do, during a day.
Correct.
Really gives us time to mull over things that, how you want to kind of take practice forward in the days to come.
Right. So
go ahead.
Yeah, so I was really interested to know how different people in your team are also adjusting to this situation. Like, is it business or usual, or you see some or most of your part of the work has been affected?
Actually, what we're doing is GNE is working from home. So everyone is catching up on all the, drawing work and the studio work that needs to get done. Right. And I think this is kind of really come at a time when, there's always sufficient amount of work that needs to get done. So everyone, we had a work Zoom call with all GNE architects together, and it was great to have a chat with everyone, though individual teams are talking to one another almost on a daily basis. The overall thought was that it's great to be working in a silent kind of situation or a silent environment, because otherwise you're inundated with calls, and those are really distractions when you actually want to design peacefully, or do your work peacefully at the office. So people are enjoying it. I guess it's also a very novel thing. So as of now, boredom hasn't set in as yet.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully the situation improves before that. Coming towards Zoom, as you said, is the platform which you're using for calls. But in terms of the main tools, like the main drafting tools or modeling tools, have you changed some of these tools or any new tools which you have adapted to help you deal with the current situation better?
I think, this is something, most of the tools that are being used are similar because, people are familiar with previous tools. And also, I think what a lot of people are looking at, of course, is to try and see whether they can learn some new techniques. Just yesterday when we had this call, there was a talk saying, why don't we use this time? We have at least 2 weeks left. Let's look at some new techniques. Let's look at some new softwares and see how we can upscale, in terms of what is possible during these days.
Correct. So actually, there's a lot of talk even on the social circles going on that this is one of the best times to learn new tools. It's the best time to upskill oneself. So what are your thoughts on this, especially to the architectural community and the construction community in general?
I definitely agree. In fact, through Triple ID, we are doing a series of talks in the next week and for Bangalore, and this is happening. Triple ID is doing these talks across the country as well in various chapters, and I think this is one topic that everyone is talking about.
Great, great.
To
That's
kind
sweet.
of skill, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
and to learn new softwares in as quick a time as possible. So it would be great to really see how some of these modules can be put together by different companies, so that it becomes easily digestible, so to say.
So, as you were mentioning about upskilling during this time, and the programs which you're doing is really a great thing at this point of time. So, we have been in touch for quite some time, and you know about Snaptrude, and you have tried it yourself as well. So, what's your view on Snaptrude?
I think Snaptrude is an interesting tool, and especially for people who are, focusing on design, which of course is an essential and initial thing for any project. I think Snaptrude really helps in getting started to a certain level. After which, of course, detailing can be done by the office and things like that. So I have actually shared this with other architects as well, and I think this is a good time to really you know have some kind of a demo for across architects. And so I feel Snaptrude can actually help by putting a small demo video together and have maybe like a webinar, which we can definitely help in putting together for you, where architects get to know the software better. And I think this would really help people at this stage, because I feel it's such a simple tool and easily, when you talk about other softwares which are complicated, yes, you need the time, and you need, I mean, even though we're all at home and we all have the time, you do have multiple things to do. So software like Snaptrude really would be helpful for architects across different age groups, really, especially for people, as senior architects or designers, really at the at the top of the design pyramid, really, to be able to do their sketches, do their concept design, and then really share it with the studio, so detailing can happen to a greater extent. And that would really require AutoCAD and normal tools that, or Revit, that would continue to get into detailing. Snaptrude really, I think, is something that should become mainstream.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for believing in what Snaptrude is doing, and in our team as well. So, adding on to that, what kind of advice do you have to young architects who have just, like, say, started their careers or on the verge of starting their careers, and these are turbulent times? Like, what kind of advice do you have for them?
I think, there was a very interesting talk that, I'd heard some time ago with Anupama Kundu. And she had a very interesting thing to say, saying that, don't wait for clients to actually do design, because at that point in time, you are in a rush. There's a lot of pressure from the client and things like that. But if you think of doing a project, it could be anything from a home to a school, or any project that you really would like to do, it would be worthwhile to actually do a design for a, for a, you know, uh, typical kind of a site, and then actually detail it out till you're sure that you want to, that this is the way you want to have it, which then becomes very easy to convince a client once you approach a client with that design. So go for it. You should be doing a design work, not waiting for a client right now.
Got it, got it. Great. And another thing, in terms of the construction industry,
Uh-huh.
how do you feel the business is going to cope with this situation? What kind of perspective you have for the next few months?
This is something that all of us have been worrying about and talking about continuously. I'm sure that things will slow down for some time, but most architects in the country have various kinds of projects of different scales and sizes.
Correct.
So probably it's the smaller projects, it's the more personal projects that would really get executed faster, whereas the larger projects may take some amount of time, anything between 6 months to maybe a year to actually get into to get the whole momentum up. So I would say that all of us in the in the fraternity, in the construction industry, really have to play this out carefully and make sure that things roll back the way they should, and hoping that the government really chips in by making things easier for our industry.
Great, great. Yeah, I think so. Being optimistic is the way out right now, and
Absolutely.
hope the situation improves as quickly
Mhm.
as possible. So, thank you so much for sharing such great insights with us. Again, it's always a pleasure having a conversation with you, and I would like to actually probably continue this conversation again, maybe a month, 2 months down the line. Situations hopefully have changed. Thank you so much for joining us, and I really hope that we come out of this very well, very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Altaf.